Hey Rifters, how is it going? We are back with an update to a ban list set by Riot on March 30th. If you don't know, after set 2, after some time there was some speculation on bans, what should be banned, what should stay, if there would even be a ban in the first place. And today, they announced their bans, and they are effective tomorrow, March 31st, or at least of the day of the recording. So let's go over it. Once again, this comes from like a pretty casual POV. I watch some of the competitive stuff here and there. A lot of local players in my area, they're a bit on the competitive side, so they kind of are able to talk about, and we discuss like, oh, what you come across this weekend at a skirmish. If you don't know what a skirmish is, it's like a level above Nexus Knights, where Nexus Knights are pretty casual. Skirmish is like that step above if you're looking for that like competitive nature in Riftbound. I've attended one skirmish. It was kind of last minute, so I didn't really like plan around it, but I did decently well. I got second. I lost against an Irelia, albeit it was a really fun experience. Got some promos, all that stuff. So I would say that I know a bit about Riftbound and keep up with the meta stuff. So let's go over it. The following are banned from Riftbound Standard Constructed. In this case, we have Call Shot banned, Dravne Vanquisher banned, Fireflight banned, Scrap Heap banned. As for the cards that you are not allowed to play in your decks anymore, as well as 3 battlefields that are not allowed to go into any deck. So if you're new to Riftbound, each deck has 3 battlefields. From now on, you cannot play these 3. Regarding the reasoning behind bans, I haven't read this, by the way. I just know the cards that were banned. So they're saying here that is the card just being in every single deck, or is it dominated by a single legend? In this case, Dravne was a big problem. Of course, they want to like future-proof cards, make sure that cards, if a card is out now, it might be too bit of a problem later on. Makes sense. Is there any kind of feels bad moments? And I would say that some of these cards do feel bad to play against at times. Riftbound game designers have stated that they're trying to stay away from erratas, but more so of an errata regarding power creeping or nerfing / buffing erratas. They do erratas when it doesn't align with, let's say, their roles. In this case, they're are really trying to not errata something like making Dravne once per turn, or something that's not printed on a card that fundamentally kind of changes how that legend is played. So they kind of go over it in here. The Miracle package. If you don't know, there is a play pattern you could come across known as the Miracle deck / package, where you run purple seals or chaos seals, and seals can generate you power, as well as kind of making this whole called shot thing combo available. So in this case, we want to make sure that, or they wanted to make sure that you don't have that negative game experience. For my case, I don't think I ever came across a Miracle package. I might have once. The player didn't really know what they were doing, which is fine. However, it does kind of feed into like a negative gameplay loop where you're kind of watching your opponent play Pokemon. If you haven't played Pokemon is a very sequence-heavy deck or game where you can take a long time on your turn, just making sure you sequence everything properly. And that's kind of what Miracle does, where you discard a lot, draw a lot. You can go through your deck. You can stack your deck due to Vi being able to recycle cards from the discard pile. So you can stack it in a way where you can see your deck again and things like that. And people have been reported that it's just very unfun to just play against that. Just watching your opponent play for 5 minutes as you take 2 minutes on your turn, right? So I think, if you ask me, I think Called Shot was a given. I think Called Shot was an obvious ban. Honestly, I had about a 90%. I was 90% sure that they were going to ban it, and they did. Now, what shocked me here was Scrap Heap, which kind of enabled the discard package. Now, with Scrap Heap, you're probably wondering, well, how does that, work into the whole miracle stuff and drawing a lot? You're drawing one. Well, there's a card that's not listed here, Ezreal. On play, it's a discard one, draw two. You discard the Scrap Heap, and now you get another draw. So you are positive 2 cards in this case, and then you can combo that into more draw if you hit what you need to hit. On top of, if you're discarding enough and playing enough cards for free, or you're playing enough Called Shots, you can play this card for free. But you can play Battering Ram for practically free from just playing so many Called Shots, playing Seals, making Called Shot cheap with Ezreal. So you can play that for free. And then also, if you are discarding your whole entire deck and throwing stuff in the trash, Rasa comes down for free, and it just makes the play pattern very unfun to come against. And seeing all these big body units that I don't think Riot intentionally designed to be able to be summoned in one turn, or 2 turns, or however long that setup takes. So because of that, they went ahead and banned Scrap Heap alongside with it. I do think this sucks for, lower tier decks such as Jinx, who doesn't really get to see play, because if you're playing Fury and Chaos, red purple, then why don't you just play Draven or Annie, which is fair. But I think if discard support increases and there's a way for Jinx to benefit, she will not benefit as much because of Scrap Heap. Now, I do agree that Scrap Heap in this package was a problem, and I'm not sure how, Riot would be able to address that. I think the one that shocks me the most, and I think it shocked other people a good bit, is the 4-drop Draven that Draven plays in his champion slot. And I'm just reading here that if you ban a legend, you don't play Draven, obviously, because you're banning the legend, which, sure. I think the issue with this ban is that, I run this Draven in like a budget Rek'Sai deck, and now that I can't run him, feels really bad. Now, what makes him so strong is that, obviously, if he's your chosen champion, if you're playing Draven, you're guaranteed to see him on turn 2 going first, right? Because you play a 2-drop, then next turn you move the 2-drop in, you're guaranteed to play this Draven. And it has good effect, when it wins combat. You can play a gold gear token, but also you have the possibility to recycle a red or, recycle a gold to give it +2 this turn. And technically, it could keep stacking the +2 if you push an enemy back and they come back in, give another +2 because it lasts for the turn. And they're saying here that the guaranteed access for the turn 2 play gives, Draven deck builders just too much creative freedom. Just, playing on curve, not investing a power is generally very strong. And if you don't know, Draven Legend says that if you win a combat, you draw one. This is unlimited, so this can happen multiple times in a given turn. Now, winning a combat means that you're the last one at the battlefield with a unit. So you can just push something back and then win that combat. Some people were thinking that maybe damage needs to be dealt or a unit needs to die in order to win that combat, but they didn't go that route. Now, another card that is getting banned, or is banned, is Fight or Flight. This hits all Chaos decks, and I think I saw this coming, but I generally think that it is a very good card. It is an insane card. The flexibility, the no power cost if you choose to just play it as action speed is very strong. I think the card is very good. My thing is, you don't allow certain decks that need this movement to be enabled, or if you're running a hidden package unit because of an archetype, think Teemo, their decks are weaker and they're already generally lower in a tier, you know, amongst the other legends. You know, why play Teemo? You can play Ezreal, etc. But overall, Fight or Flight can also just make the experience not that fun for a lot of players, so that's fair. This hits Irelia, of course. We also, you know, benefited from this. Seeing this get hits, you know, hits other decks can suck, but I bet it is for the health of the game. Now, Battlefields, I did expect maybe 1 to get banned, but not 3. Reaver's Row is just kind of in conjunction with Draven. The usual play pattern is that when you go into Reaver's Row and a Draven player has a character there, you are attempting to take it out, they run back to base, now you're stuck there, and then when they come into you, if you do choose to retreat, they win that combat because you're running away. And then they get to draw one. So they just completely banned it. I think I'm okay with this. As a Lucian player, I was playing it before, but the whole play pattern behind it can be a little annoying. Dreaming Tree. I think this makes sense, especially if you're hitting Draven a lot. You should hit Irelia a decent amount too. I guess they really don't want card draw to be all that strong. In Dreaming Tree, they started to realize that people are going through with lines that maybe they didn't expect. Example is stupefying your own unit on Dreaming Tree is like a very common play pattern in Kaisa deck, so they can draw 2. And then Hidden Blade on Dreaming Tree on your own unit is draw 3. And just I guess drawing that much kind of made the developers get a little scared of, you know, what could happen in the future. Obelisk of Power. This one is probably the most shocking out of all the battlefields now that I think about it. Pretty much at the start of each player's first beginning phase, you get 1 extra rune. It is not exhausted, so if I go first, I'll get 3 runes. If my opponent goes second, they will get 4 runes. This enabled Draven to really never have a bad battlefield, because he can, if Draven ends up going second because he beats his opponent and the opponent chooses to go first, Draven will usually flip this battlefield, thus getting his 4-drop Draven Vanquisher on curve going first. And, you know, break points and all that stuff. Then next turn you go to 6, you can play Ferocious Forerunner, etc. Overall, I think these bans are good. It makes the meta much more interesting. Additionally, there are several rule changes as well, which I will not necessarily go into because they're kind of niche rule changes to a degree. If you think we should go over that on like a casual level, then let me know. Get ready to look out for a Legends ranking after the set 3 reviews were all announced, I think last Friday. Me and my partner will be doing a ranking video again on who we think will be good or who's need, you know, something very casual, not like who's going to be meta or like a deep analysis, but just a first impression. Oh, this is kind of cool, or this ability is really fun and could be good, things like that. Do you agree with all the bans? Are you shocked? Are you kind of like whatever? Are you excited for the meta that is going to be developed in set 3 because of this? Do you think Draven takes a big hit? So yeah, just let me know what you guys think. Talk to you guys later.